What's up, everyone? Today we're going to look at double action, single action pistols. I've recently received the Langdon Tactical Beretta Centurion and double single action. And about a month ago I also bought the CZ Shadow 2 Carry. And both of these guns are double action, single action, highly recommended. Both of them are tuned, obviously. The Langdon Tactical comes in as a tuned. Langdon Tactical is a tuner for the Beretta. They do a trigger job. I think the metal guide rod and a few other adjustments to make this thing super smooth and a much better, improved shooting experience versus a stock Beretta. All right, even the competition geared one, the trigger job on the Beretta is better than by Langdon Tactical is better than the performance center or whatever they call the competition center models oriented tuned up by Beretta. Also, Langdon Tactical was the first one to drop red dots onto the Berettas, and their system is actually lower. The dot sits lower than the proprietary Beretta mechanism, plate system, whatever. That came out actually after Langdon Tactical, so that's interesting. So that's Beretta. It's not a 5-inch, it's a 4.5, 4.6. Centurion model. Absolutely, it was an interesting experience to shoot it today, and I actually prefer it over the CZ. Obviously, CZ is more compact. It's it's a 4-inch, I think, and it also shot very well. Both of these guns are super reliable. That's one thing you cannot knock on these guns. They're super reliable. I shot everything from 115 to 124 to 147s, but they just ate everything up. No problem whatsoever. However, the biggest gripe I have with the double action is obviously the double action trigger. It's not what you think it is. It's not the first pull. So this is unloaded. It's not this. This you can live with. What sucks is usually after you do the full pull, because now your trigger, your finger is all the way up in the trigger, and you have to either readjust it or use more of your finger to make the follow-up shots. So let me show you. So this is how it starts from the beginning, right? You shoot, that's normal, and reset, and then essentially when you hold it, because it's so close to the end of the trigger guard, you essentially have to have half of your finger over the trigger, and then you shoot. And it's uncomfortable feeling, because when you shoot striker fired guns or 2011s, you have the same pull, same distance, and you can actually have a normal distance that you prefer. And here it's essentially, if you're familiar with the 2011s, they have short, medium, and long trigger distances, and this is super short. So basically, a lot of the finger ends up on the trigger itself, and it just something. Obviously, you can get used to it. But I didn't like it, and I didn't like it more so on the CZ because it's already compact, and the grip is smaller. That it was actually very hard to do quick shots. I would get finger freeze, etc. It wasn't very comfortable at all. So, as much as all the internet is raging about this little a CZ carry model, I actually I would skip it, to be quite honest. So I'm probably gonna sell it or maybe keep it. But the having half of my finger on the trigger was not something that I was interested in. The distance between here and the trigger is, when it's in a double action, is fine. But once you get into single action, it's just too much finger on the trigger, and makes it for not a pleasant shooting experience compared to, again, to Striker or 2011s. So Beretta, on the other hand, was a little bit better. So with the Beretta, it shot like a dream. I can see how JJ Rakaza can get used to it. This was a little easier to shoot. Actually, I shot pretty well with this gun because the reset here, in the beginning, it's also quite a distance, but then it's not as bad here as it is on because the grip is thicker. The grip here, the grip is thicker, so you can have a little more of your hand and the grip, and you don't have to put as much finger, even though it's still, obviously, you can see it's basically all the way in the back of the trigger guard when you pull the trigger, when you break the shot, right? So this is the take up, break. Trigger reset is amazing. Once it's in the single action mode, it's nice to shoot. Another thing that I didn't like is these huge trigger guards. I understand they were made for military use when you're wearing gloves and all that jazz. I live in Florida. I don't care for gloves, to be quite honest. And even if I'm going to wear gloves, they're going to be thin. And again, I understand why they made it, but it's super uncomfortable because it's rounded off on the bottom here. It is rounded off. So gripping it is not super pleasant, and it's manageable. It wasn't bad, but it wouldn't be my first choice either. Although I did like the single action on this. It was well, you'll see the footage, and it was pretty nice to shoot, and it was super accurate right at the gate. I didn't even zero the optic. When I received it from Langdon Tactical, I assume they kind of zeroed it a little bit or something, because I have marks here, so hopefully, and it did pretty well. Anyway, this gun, if I had to choose between two pistols, I would definitely go with the Beretta one, not with the CZ. Despite all the internet is going to probably start hating you for saying that, but the CZ Shadow 2 carry wasn't as much fun to shoot. Not even close. This was a mile away, I would say, performance-wise, and the way it shot. So if you have to choose, if you have to get a double action, single action, I would look into the Beretta, even though maybe on paper CZ is more modern and maybe more popular, but I think this is the way to go if you're gonna go single action, double action. I could see myself, if I would have to compete in carry optics, using a single action, double action versus a striker, maybe, but I think a tuned Glock with a few grip enhancements probably might be a better choice either way, because you have, essentially, you never have to have this first trigger pull, and then you essentially have two shots that are iffy. The first shot is it's going to be slow because you have to be careful how you, well, if you don't want to drop the shot, you have to have equal pressure pull, right? Press on this. This is tuned to about 6 pounds, I believe, from 10, by Langdon Tactical, but it's still substantial versus 2 pound 2011 trigger brake, right? So first shot, you pull it, you do the shot, then you get into the single, and then because you just did one motion, now you have to do a completely different motion with your finger. It also throws you off a little bit. Again, you can get used to it and all that good stuff, but you can get used to anything, right? The point being is we're comparing, does it make sense to have this versus some other choices that you can have? And I think to me, I would probably go the striker fire pistol route, but overall, if I would have to choose a competition. However, all this said and done, I would definitely recommend this as if you want to have a double action pistol and you want to have that peace of mind where you have a decocker and you can appendix carry this because the trigger pull is so heavy. Basically, you're not going to make any mistake. You're not going to accidentally discharge this weapon into your groin area, right? So, in any case, if the choice lies between these two, I would go with the Beretta. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any questions, comments. We'll always appreciate it. Thank you.